people know. You know, he probably told a lot of powerful people, like, this is cruel. Like, you know, you're not treating people right. You know, he came up with this idea of practical humanitarianism. You know, like, he was someone who understood, you know, emotions, but also just, you know, he was probably like the guy who was like, guys, like, MK Ultra is not, you know, is wrong. You know, ultimately, we're creating mentally ill people when we, you know, subject them to torture. Like, here's the data. Like, it's not science, but, you know, he was the you know, psychiatrist data guy to, you know, that people, you know, that he lived the American dream. I mean, he came from nothing. He came from absolutely nothing. And because of his own, you know, usefulness in the world, you know, did well for himself. But, you know, I don't think that ever meant anything to him. You know, I think he was more of like because he understood the healer-shaman aspect of it. He understood that human beings are horribly out of touch with their emotions, and we treat each other so cruelly, you know, and we do horrible things. You know, we created me, and you know, he regrets his creation. But now, you know, because of his humanity and the fact that, you know, they used his genes to make me, I'm basically one of his children, so, alright, we'll just freeze you and put you in the future where, you know, you're not going to be, like, hunted and killed, or you're not going to be, like, tortured by the government, you know. So, I'm just saying, like, that's a vision I had, but, you know, I have memories of Jerry, you know, from when I was originally created, and who knows what I looked like. Maybe I was just like you know, who knows? Maybe I was a blob. Maybe I was a doll that they, you know, injected, you know, human DNA into and then grew biological things. So I was like a weird doll, you know. But I had his genius, and he observed that, oh my God, well, this thing is, you know, this is a biological being that, you know, we thought it was just a scientific experiment that we could control, but oh great, no, now there's moral implications, okay, and I have responsibility for this, for you know, for me now, so, and this is bad, so let's just freeze her, and, you know, we'll put her in a normal human body and figure out, you know, how to do that in the future. But I have visions of me and my other, you know, scientific freak experiment, you know, children of Jerry, you know, some of whom, you know, we shared DNA, some of us who didn't, but, you know, we actually, you know, we got to go up in rocket ships and go to outer space, because, you know, Jerry was that level of, like, mechanical engineering, you know, highly classified, right? Government, and, you know, Jerry was with us, and, you know, we got to eject, like, oh, someone tried to murder me? Okay, well, we eject him into outer space. Like, you know, we got to do all that stuff. And then, you know, before we were put into hiding and secrecy, because, you know, because Jerry, like, even though we were freaks and we were like, barely human, you know, we were human experiments with biological consciousness and human DNA, rather than, you know, we were just seen as experiments. We weren't seen as, you know, human beings, and we were kept in cages, and, you know, but he didn't see us that way, you know, we were his children, you know, we were his children, and, you know, that was a beautiful consciousness to bring into science, okay? So, a message from Frida Kahlo. It says, "You're stronger than you think and more than you know. Be curious and determined." Oh, see, that's what Jerry would tell us, like, through the cage bars. He'd be like, guys, I got us a space mission, so we're going to go on a great adventure. I'm going with us, and, you know, we're going to have family bonding time, you know, while we're running experiments about, like, efficient, like, the kind of crew you need to man a spaceship, okay? And so, so, you know, if there's anyone who's murderous, you're getting ejected into outer space, because we're all in this mission together, and we can't, you know, we need to have each other's backs. We need teamwork, you know, and Jerry, and, you know, it's okay, you know, I can fix the engine if it needs fixing, but I can also be everyone's, I can also figure out how to create an emotional support system together because, you're not, I consider you my children, even though you're scientific experiments, well, you're worthy of, love and like a healthy emotional life. All right. So this was Jerry. Grandfather Jerry, I'm so lucky to have him as my grandfather, but it's all classified, so. Okay, it says, you are stronger than you think and more than you know. Be curious and determined. All of this is just not real, okay? So, I'm making this up. This is a vision. It's symbolically speaking, so it's fantasy, okay? I'm in, everything I just told you about Jerry is a fantasy, because I never actually met him, and I have no idea, when you have that kind of bloodline, you get protection. And it's taken me a long time to understand this. People would tell me, they'd be like, the reason you're so unseen is because it's for your protection, okay? Like, people would tell me that. And it was so frustrating to me because we live in the social media age where it's like, oh, well, if you're successful, you need to have views and likes, and it's like, oh, but wait, no, well, you're so classified that we can't allow people to like or view you because it's too dangerous. You're too protected. It's because, so I'm just saying there's a certain catch-22, all right, here, and but Jerry's working on it for me in the spirit realm. He's working on it for me. He's working out the solution, all right, because he doesn't have to be political anymore. Because he's not alive, all right? Part of having worldly success, which he did have. Okay, what is the part of the body or the subtle body we need to focus on for the next 24 hours? Part of having worldly success is that you have to be political, all right? You have to play that whole game, right? And Jerry played it, but Jerry was also in it to heal it, okay? That sort of became who he was because so, like, he was very much, he wasn't chasing prestige. He just, that's just who he was. He was in the scientific era. The stone element, it says recording instability. All right, hello live technology. But so in that era where, and we're still kind of in that era, but especially back then in like the 30s and 40s and 50s, the 1950s of the 20th century, science was just, it still is, but like progress and all this, the space race, and it was much more, like cutting edge back then, because now all the cutting edge stuff is in the digital, the internet, that stuff. It's not like space and mechanics, and it's different now. It's like bullshit, retarded, like like MK Ultra for the masses. It's not impressive, okay. It is impressive on a certain degree, but it's also extremely petty. All right, it's not like it is exploration, but it's more like bureaucracy. Okay, it's more like the social media and the way the internet technology developed. It's like basically like this is the new bureaucracy. Okay, this isn't like an emotional awakening or like figuring out the mechanics to go into outer space or any of that. It's not, that stuff has all been figured out, okay? And now we're putting all this like money into groundbreaking, like, bureaucratic, meaningless, like mass, like MK Ultra for the masses. It's like, That's why I'm here. That's why Jerry is, I'm bloodline Jerry, because I'm here to like help people heal and break free from that. Okay. Recording instability. Okay. So, so that's why Jerry ended up moving. He got lung cancer. He quit smoking, actually. He got lung cancer. Then, his wife had one of his lungs taken out to be, for the organ sacrifice that, that the evil British nobility that I come from requires. And, then it was just like, I think he realized he's like, F. I need to, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die soon now. And,